We'll now call our meeting to order. Let's please stand for our invocation and for our pledge of allegiance. Dear Creator, we thank you for this precious day. We thank you for giving us the ability to do what's right. But we do ask that you come within this meeting to lead us and guide us through all the things that may hinder the growth and development of this city. I ask you to stand against all things that promote division, that you may guide us toward unity. We also want to remember today, this day that 9/11, that affected this country as a whole. Yet it caused destruction on the physical being, but yet it united us on a spiritual level. And I hope and desire that unity continue. We want to also recognize all those who are suffering throughout this world, whether it be because of fire, floods, anything that may even be a natural disaster. We ask that you be with them, comfort them, guide them, but most of all, help them to recover. We welcome you into this meeting to have your way, for we all know that the greatest thing there is for us to take care, to love, to serve, and to protect each other. So we welcome you into this meeting because we know that you all in all, and most important, you are pure love. So we welcome you this day. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, I'll ask that you look at our agenda, and first let's have the approval of our minutes from August the 14th, 2023 regular meeting.
So moved. Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Hearing none, let it be reflected that the minutes have passed. Council, also please take a look in your packages, and you will see there's an addendum to our agenda, and I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adding the addendum to our agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Also, if there is no objection, we do have a resolution which we have recipients in the audience. If there's no objection, I would like to move that resolution forward to proceed after our appearance before council. Any objections?
No.
Hearing none, the resolution will be moved forward to come after our appearances before council. And as we prepare to enter into our public hearing, our appearance before council, I do want to acknowledge, as was acknowledged in the invocation, that today is 9/11, and as you may know, this is one of the first time in history that we had an attack here on our homeland soil. And I know that they had a celebration this morning, a remembrance at our Veteran Park. But I think that's so important that we take a moment that we just remember where we were on 9/11. So we'll just take a moment of silence. At this time, is there no objections? Thank you. And thank you, Council, for allowing that time period for that reflection. Chair recognizes.
With regard to the 9/11 ceremony, Councilman Braddock was out there with myself, and I just wanted to, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of him as well as all members of council, that it was a moving ceremony out there, and particularly to Colonel Barry Wingart for his efforts to put it together, working with city staff, as always. And Shannon and I saw you there, and I'm sure there were many others. I don't know who all was there, and I don't want to name everybody, but it was a big crowd. But it was a very powerful ceremony, and I just appreciate Colonel Wingard's efforts to put it together every year. And I'm sure that Councilman Braddock agrees with me on that.
Thank you, Council. Do we have any other councilman who wants to acknowledge or state anything in reference to 9/11? Hearing none, thank you again, Council, for allowing this time period reflection among the council. We appreciate you allowing that to occur. So at this time, we will proceed with our appearance before council. And at this time, I will be asking that each appearance, a person making an appearance, please limit your presentation to 5 minutes. So at this time, we have Mr. Brian and Jody Ransom to make a presentation to council regarding One Table Florence. Welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen of the City Council and esteemed residents, fellow community members, we stand before you today with a heart full of gratitude and a vision of unity. I am here to introduce to you a cherished concept that has been a source of warmth and togetherness for decades in Aiken, South Carolina, and is now making its way to our beloved city of Florence. One Table Florence. One Table is not just another event, it's a celebration of community, compassion, and the power of community. At the request of our city manager, we are thrilled to announce that this year, One Table Florence will find its home at beautiful Timrod Park. This iconic event, which is centered around the community Thanksgiving dinner, holds the promise of bringing all facets of our diverse community together at one table for one remarkable holiday meal. The core values that underpin One Table Florence are simple yet profound: combating loneliness, forging community connections, and fostering a culture of volunteerism. These principles align perfectly with our city's spirit of neighborly love and shared responsibility. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine the scene where people from all walks of life, regardless of age, race, religion, or background, come together under the open sky of Timrod Park. Families, friends, neighbors, and strangers alike gather around one table to share a meal, share stories, and share in the joy of the season. It's a scene of inclusivity, where no one feels alone and everyone knows they belong. Loneliness can be a heavy burden, and it's a feeling that many in our community may experience, especially around the holiday seasons. One Table Florence is a beacon of hope, offering an opportunity for those who may feel isolated to connect with others, find support, and feel a sense of belonging. It's a powerful antidote to loneliness that can truly transform lives. But One Table Florence is more than just a meal. It's a platform for volunteerism and giving back. Every dish, every seat, and every smile is a result of the collective effort of dedicated volunteers who pour their time and love into making this event a reality. One Table Florence is a reminder that the strength of our community lies in the willingness of its members to come together and serve one another. I'm proud to announce that One Table Florence is entirely free to attend. This means no one is excluded from the celebration due to financial constraints. It's an event where everyone can enjoy a hearty Thanksgiving meal without any barriers. As we gather in Timrod Park for One Table Florence, let us remember the true essence of the holiday season: gratitude, togetherness, and the joy of giving. I invite each of you to join us in this memorable occasion, whether as a volunteer, a guest, or simply as a supporter of this wonderful initiative. Your presence and participation will make a significant difference. In conclusion, One Table Florence is a testament to the strength of our community and the power of unity. It embodies the spirit of Florence, a city where every resident is valued, where loneliness is replaced with friendship, and where giving back is a way of life. Thank you for attention, and I look forward to seeing you all at Timrod Park as we gather together at One Table Florence to celebrate the true meaning of Thanksgiving and its boundless potentials of our city when we stand together as a community.
So we are proud to bring this remarkable event to our city, but to do so effectively, we need your help in funding this endeavor. The support for One Table Florence is already outstanding. We have over 20 churches who have generously and graciously agreed to partner with us. These churches are the backbone of our community, and their commitment to this event speaks volumes to the potential for unity that One Table Florence has. But it doesn't stop there. We are reaching out to various civic and athletic groups in our city, seeking their assistance and involvement in making this event a success. We believe that by involving these groups, we can amplify the impact of One Table Florence and bring more residents together to celebrate our shared values. Additionally, we've initiated conversations with local businesses, exploring ways that they can support us. These businesses are not just a part of our economy, they're an integral part of our community. Their participation in One Table Florence would not only make this event financially viable, but also further cement the bonds between local businesses and residents. However, it's important to note that while we strive to make One Table Florence a success, we are also mindful of not competing with other nonprofit organizations that work tirelessly to address food insecurity and support the less fortunate in our community. We have engaged in constructive dialogue with organizations such as House of Hope, Junebugs Care, and the Whosoever Church. And I'm pleased to announce that they have all agreed to partner with us, ensuring that we work collaboratively to serve those in need. Ladies and gentlemen, every significant community event requires financial support to run smoothly and effectively. Today, we humbly ask for your assistance in building a solid budget for One Table Florence. Your support will help provide the necessary infrastructure, resources, and coordination to ensure that this event is a reasonable and resounding success. We believe that One Table Florence has the potential to be a transformative force in our city, a symbol of unity, compassion, and the power of community. By investing in this initiative, you are not only supporting the event, but sowing seeds for a more tightly knit, compassionate Florence that will thrive for generations to come. As we consider this request for funding, let us reflect on the true meaning of community, of coming together to support one another, and of building a city that we can all be proud to call home. We hope you will join us in making One Table Florence a reality, and in turn, making our city an even better place for us all. Thank you for your time and consideration. Together, we can make Florence a shining example of what unity and compassion can achieve.
I have a question for you. Do you have a date and a time that you've already selected?
Yes, we will be in Timrod Park on Thanksgiving Day from 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock.
All right. And also, have you set a goal for your funding for this? What it will take to put that event on?
Yes, we would like to raise $30,000.
Have you already attained a portion of that?
Yes.
How much have you obtained so far?
So we've taken up some offerings at local churches. I do not have the count for you today.
Chair recognizes.
Yeah, in following up on that, it would be very helpful for us if you had a budget that would show us what your expenditures are, as well as what your revenues that you expect to get and contributions that we could evaluate. Very excited about what you're doing. Commend you for it. Question I have for you is, have you spoken with Chris Handley with Helping Florence Flourish?
Yes, Brian Braddock has spoken in our stead to Chris, and we look forward to talking to him later this week.
Okay, good, because that's an organization as well that the city works very closely with. And so speaking for myself, I don't know about the other council members, but it would be very helpful for us if you had a conversation with him and then could come back, as that's already an organization that we currently work with very extensively, that obviously does a lot of the same things you're talking about here, and with whom we already have that existing track record. So,
Yes.
so if you could do that and then maybe report back to us next month on the results of all that, I think that might be very helpful for us.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Call.
Very briefly, Brian, pleasure to see you again. Like I see you all across the city now. But One Table Florence, this is something that originated here in Florence, or is it done in other cities as well?
Originally, it was Aiken, South Carolina has been doing it for over 2 decades. The last year we were there, 2019, they had over 3,000 people attend of all walks of life, and it was fantastic. We participated in it for many years. My wife actually volunteered there to learn the process of creating One Table with the express intent of doing it somewhere else. And so we intend now to set it here for the first year here and then continue this yearly after.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman. Denise Smith Jackson.
Hi. I remember I met you guys and you told me about that. And when you first told me about the one table, I was excited because I know that it fosters unity, and it really gets to celebrate the true spirit of Thanksgiving. And I love it. And it kind of bridged that social divide with everyone. So I'm excited about it. Please get us all the information so we can definitely be a part of that. And thank y'all for your work, because the one thing we need to do is go to other areas, find out what they're doing, and do bring these things back to Florence, because Florence is growing, and the many different things that we have is the better. So please get us that information so we can help you guys.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Yeah, too, want to thank you, and I want to thank Hannah and City Manager for bringing the idea of the location. Timrod Park is an area that really serves all of Florence. Perfect location for that. I did get to spend some time with Mr. Hanley this week at a Transformational City Leaders Conference, where we were told that the number one issue regarding health is loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Number one health issue facing this country, and that it is epidemic, especially in the universities. So I think loneliness and unity, as well as the giving and compassion, is something that we all as members of council in the city can get behind. And so I will be connecting you with Mr. Hanley. He's very excited about what y'all are putting on as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does that conclude any questions or comments for council? Thank you so much for being before us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have appearing before council is Lakeisha Jones to speak to the council regarding a park and recreation concern.
I'm coming before the council as a parent. I have concerns. My kids attend Northwest, but at one point they attended Levy Park. At Northwest, I don't know if everyone is aware, but it was a tragedy that happened at Northwest, and one of the workers there died. My children are there, and there's only one staff person there. That's a problem. The safety, that's a problem. They can't even go outside because the safety. Number 2, homework help. My kids go to the community center. I would like for them to have homework assistance during that time. That's another problem. That's been a problem ever since they were at Levy Park. It's a problem now. And it's like when you bring forth the problems to the city manager, it's like frustration. If I have a problem, I don't want it to be a debacle. I'm coming because I have problems and concerns. Another thing, while my kids are there, when I go to pick them up, a lot of times you see a lot of people walking, strays, going up to the door, ringing the bell. Sometimes I'm afraid to even get out the car to go get my own kids. So I don't know why they have staff, only one staff member there, and you know someone was already killed there. Last year, the door was shot, and the kids are aware of this. It's traumatizing to the kids that are there. Number 3, bullying. Bullying is a problem at the centers, and bullying is also a problem within recreation. But a lot of times you ask, what is the policy? We have a code of ethics, but nothing is really addressed. And this is a problem. Another problem that I have is in reference to softball, baseball, and that sort of thing. You have coaches that are coaching, but they're pushing their narrative. And what I mean by that, you have a coach, and the coaches are over they are the commissioners over their age group. Why is a coach over their child being the commissioner over their child? That's another problem. And it became a major problem in those summers when softball came, because it was a confrontation with the coach of the All-Star team. And I brought these concerns to the athletic director and the city manager, but it's like it becomes confrontational and then there's never a solution. So I'm here today because y'all set these channels in place when you have problems to go to the city manager. And a lot of times it's no solution or no resolve because it's confrontational. So I don't know where does the parent goes when you have problems? Where do you go when you have problems in reference to recreation? Or your child is attending Northwest or Levy or Maple? Because really all the parks should be consistent. Why is Northwest don't have a game room? They don't have a computer room. But you have it at Levy Park and you have it at Iowa Jones Park. So why don't all parks have the same setup at every park? So that's why I'm here. I'm bringing forward these problems. You have the protocol in place if you have a problem to go to the city manager. But it's a debacle there. So I don't know, what do you want the parents, the citizens, or the patrons to do in the community? And another major problem is the safety. And the third problem is how Parks and Recs is running like softball, baseball. You have the parents over being the commissioner over their kids. A lot of times it's not a problem, but a lot of times it is a problem because when you have children, you get emotional, number one. Number two, such as when my kids were playing this spring, one of the commissioners, he pushed his grandkids on the All-Star team, whether they made it or not. All-Star should be about the stats, how they played on the field, but it wasn't like that. So I mean, there's no oversight over the Parks and Recs. You don't get any parent input. It's like, what's going on? Do you really care about the athletes or the children? Or what are we doing? I mean, we're building these nice facilities and spending a lot of money in that regards. But we can't afford to pay a tutor to go to the community center to tutor. It's like, are we pushing education or are we pushing recreation? Because if you don't have education, you can't read or write. How far are you going to go in recreation? So these are my concerns.
Thank you for your concerns, Ms. Jones. At that time, that concludes our appearance before council. And at this time, we moved our resolution forward. So at this time, we'll proceed with the resolutions. And I'll take in order the ones who are present. We have resolution number 2023-40 is a resolution to recognize October the 12th to 2023 as PD Hearing Center Day. I'm going to ask Mr. Davis, will he please come forward and read that resolution?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution number 2023-40, a resolution to recognize October 12th, 2023 as PD Hearing Center Day. Whereas recognizing a need in the community, PD Hearing Center was founded in 1968 by a grassroots committee of concerned citizens, including businessmen and women, physicians, educators, and homemakers. And whereas PD Hearing Center is a 501c3 nonprofit organization and a United Way community partner with the mission to empower lives through better hearing by providing the highest possible level of professional care to all, regardless of their ability to pay, and includes particular service to newborns and children, special needs children and adults, various government agencies including DHEC, SC Vocational Rehab, SC Vocational Rehabilitation Disabilities, First Sound, and the general public. And whereas, with the help of many volunteers, PD Hearing Center has served over 300,000 individuals over the past 50 years. And whereas, having received generous support from the community, PD Hearing Center has recently undergone a renaissance as they have been turning their eye towards Florence, growing diverse population, and are positioning themselves to continue serving the PD region with improved cutting-edge testing and diagnostic equipment and audiological best practices. Now therefore be it resolved, the City Council of the City of Florence does hereby recognize October 12th, 2023 as PD Hearing Center Day in the City of Florence and acknowledge the vital role PD Hearing Center plays in the help of supporting the community. Resolved this 11th day of September 2023. Approved as to form, Benjamin T. Ziegler, City Attorney, Teresa Myers-Irving, Mayor, Casey C. Moore, Municipal Clerk.
You've heard the resolution. What is your position? Do we have a motion?
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay, so it's motion second in discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Please let it reflect that resolution number 2023-40 has passed. And do we have a representative? Step forward to the front first. It's so important. And more important, being a neonatal nurse, that we have our young babies who have the process of having Thank you. We appreciate it too.
Good afternoon. My name is Sally Kahn. I'm the Executive Director of now PD Hearing Center, formerly known as PD Speech and Hearing Center. As you know, as you heard, we were founded really 55 years ago by people like everyone sitting out in the audience now. We weren't a group of audiologists, we weren't a group of speech pathologists, but they were people who saw a need and met it. They did whatever it took to meet it. And recently, in the last year, we have been reevaluating our situation. We've decided to narrow our mission to better serve the community. We've discovered or discerned that there is not as much of a need for us to have speech pathology as there used to be. So we've let the schools take over that and private practice take over that. And we are going to increase our audiology services so that we can serve more newborns. We can serve as our city grows, as these new industries are moving to town. We're going to, as you all know, we're going to experience a huge influx of new residents, and they're all going to bring their families, and they're going to bring their hearing needs, and we are setting ourselves up. We're doing everything it takes to set ourselves up to be ready for them. And we're going to celebrate this on October 12th. The day you've just approved, with a grand reopening at PD Speech and Hearing and our ribbon cutting with the chamber, and we want everyone here to join us. And I'd like for two of my board members are here. I'd like for them to introduce themselves.
Hi, my name is Samantha Mack. And I'm Mary Jane Weir. And just one thing I did want to add is one thing PD Hearing also does is a lot of times hearing instruments and aids and supplements are not covered by many insurance companies, or very little, and so we also try to provide those at a reduced rate too. So that's another little.
Thank you.
So thank you again.
You're welcome, and thank you for all that y'all do. And council, under resolutions, we have resolution number 2023-37. It's a resolution to authorize the transference of $1 million from the American Rescue Plan Act funds to the general fund.
So move.
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, second.
Okay, we have a motion
Okay.
and a second on the
Yes.
floor. Do you want it? Let's hear from the city manager.
Okay.
Mayor and Council, As the mayor stated, this is a resolution requesting the reallocation of $1 million from the ARPA funding to the general fund. Back when the city received about $7.9 million in ARPA funding, the council at that time laid out a budget. Part of that budget included $1 million for the potential need to expand broadband within the city limits. After a study was conducted, a little greater than 98% of the city was covered with broadband for broadband access, so that money wasn't necessary for broadband expansion. And if you remember in our budget hearings or budget meetings, if you will, before we selected the budget, I told you that I was required. I made the decision to cut, although one councilman does like the term cut, remove request from the budget of police cars and a garbage truck in order to balance the budget. So my recommendation is simply that we take the $1 million ARPA money, we transfer it to the general fund as lost revenue for the purpose of purchasing 12 police cars at $600,000, a garbage truck at $300,000, and put $100,000 in contingency, where our contingency is currently $102,000. And that's my presentation.
Okay, that is the presentation, and that's the motion on the floor. Councilwoman, I recognize Councilwoman Barnes.
Okay. Thank you, Randy, for that. But I'd like to make a motion to move that we would authorize the transfer of $500,000 to the general fund for the purchase of 4 police cars and 1 sanitation truck. With the $500,000 balance that remain, we would send it back to the Finance Committee to be directed for them to meet with the city staff to further review this matter and then come back to us in October of what we should do with the remaining 500.
Second.
All right, so that is an amendment to the original motion. And is there any discussion? Okay. Council recognizes Councilman Braddock.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we had planned to meet the Finance Committee, but because of the storm, we had to move the meeting, and then I was out of town with no cell phone service, which is a great place to go if y'all want to know the address. So we just didn't. We were unable to discuss everything out. So this is just a way to move forward so that we don't slow the process of getting this truck, but give us more time, and primarily due to having to rearrange our meeting because of storms and whatnot.
I see, please see that written motion that the councilman passed around. I hadn't seen that, so I'd like to see it. Okay. So for clarification, to our city manager, so this recommendation here is to fund a purchase of 4 police cars. How many police cars was originally requested to be funded?
In the first beginning of the process, it was 10. Mm-hmm. Some mechanical issues have led that number. My chief says 13. I've compromised on 12.
Okay. So we're decreasing from agreeable 10, dropping it to 4. All right. Now, 1 sanitation truck, and that was originally 1, correct?
There was 2 originally. We were able to fund 1, but the other one was removed.
Okay. So it means the other would have been for 1 truck after you funded the other one.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, then here. All right. And I'll flip back. And what was the other portion? Because I knew I would have to pull it. The other portion that they want to transfer 500 to the ARPA account. What was the other things that will be removed if we do that?
I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry.
We're decreasing the police cars, correct? And going from 10 police cars down to 4. And then there will be, so that's a decrease in the number of cars for police as well. So now, before we had up to 900,000 was budgeted out, correct?
The other 100,000 was contingency.
It was contingency.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. So now the new motion, our amendment to the motion would be, before we vote, I will make sure we're all clear, that with regards to Resolution 2023-37 and the transfer of ARPA funds, it was a motion to amend the resolution to have $500,000 transferred to the general fund for the purchase of 4 police cars for $200,000 and 1 sanitation truck for $300,000, with the $500,000 balance to remain in the ARPA account, and for the financial committee to be directed to meet with the city staff to review this matter further and make a recommendation to the city council at the October meeting on the expenditure of the remaining $500,000 of the ARPA funds. That is the amendment to the motion. Where do we proceed from here? What is your?
Take a vote.
You got to discuss. Okay.
It's my understanding that this motion only addresses half of the $1 million. That $500,000 to move forward. If I understand the motion correctly, is that right? With $500,000 of it to go towards the sanitation truck for $300,000 that you've already described, and then to proceed immediately with 4 of the requested police cars, which would be a total of $200,000, and that the balance of $500,000, that no decision is made today on that, but that be sent to the finance committee, and that we get recommendations back in October. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and so that's just as we stated. The funds will be decreased with a decrease in number of police cars, with a $500,000 going to the committee. So that's how it's read here. So,
for clarification, I don't believe there's a decrease. I think there's a decrease in the total amount. Is that correct, Ms. Councilwoman Barnes?
Madam Mayor, can
yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, it's not a decrease because we are adding 4 cars.
Right.
So we are adding an addition to what is already there. The finance committee did not have time to meet. There was a storm. And so because once this money is gone, it's gone. And so because we don't want to stop or slow down this process, we said, okay, let's move forward with half, and let's revisit and make sure we're moving the way this council can feel comfortable in voting for. Because as of right now, we did not really put time and effort in looking into this. So this gives us just a little, another month for the other half.
And I do want to clarify, because I always like to be transparent. The resolution that's being amended, when it's under the therefore be it resolved that the council of the city of Florence authorize the city manager to transfer $1 million to the general fund from the ARPA fund to allow $600,000 to purchase of 12 police vehicles, $300,000 to purchase 1 sanitation truck, and $100,000 to increase the contingency. That is the original motion. The amendment would do the following. The amendment would actually transfer $500,000 to the general fund for the purchase of 4 police cars, parentheses $200,000, and 1 sanitation truck, $300,000, with the $500,000 balance to remain in the ARP account, and for the financial committee be directed to meet with the city staff to review this matter further and make a recommendation to the city council at the October meeting on the expenditure of the remaining $500,000 for the ARPA fund. That is the amendment to the motion. At this time, we'll call for the question. All those in favor of amending the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Like signs? Nay. Nay for me. So the original motion has been amended, and that original resolution would therefore be reading as following. We'll have to vote on, and that resolution will be to amend the resolution to authorize the transfer of $500,000 to the general fund for the purchase of 4 police cars, parentheses $200,000, and 1 sanitation truck, $300,000, with the $500,000 balance to remain in the ARPA account, and for the financial committee be directed to meet with the city staff to review this matter further and make recommendation to the city council at the October meeting on the expenditure of the remaining $500,000 of the ARPA funds. Now, that is the motion that's before us. Any discussion on that amendment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Nay. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Councilwoman, for sharing that. I appreciate it. Okay. Our next resolution we have is resolution number 2023-41. It's a resolution authorizing the staff to negotiate a grant agreement with the organization in the amount as shown in Exhibit A in the compliance with the South Carolina opioid recommendation. This item, if there's no objection, will be taken up in executive session. Next, we have the addendum. The addendum resolution was a resolution number 2023-42, a resolution of recognition of Pastor Ralph Canny Sr. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those favors signify by saying aye. Aye. And opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the resolution has passed. At this time, that completes our resolutions. Till we come back from executive session. Next, we'll go back to.
Point question.
Sure.
Is there a full resolution that can be read for Pastor Canny?
We can, and he's not here, but the councilwoman is going to present it at her at his event. But what I will ask, Councilwoman, do you want to tell the audience what?
Okay, yes. Pastor Ralph Canty has been serving one church for 55 years here in Florence, and he's been a phenomenal leader for Florence, and we will be celebrating in October his anniversary, and this resolution will be read there at the celebration, but we needed to get it approved here today. So we celebrate the October. Actually, the event is sold out. We've sold over 500 tickets, but I would invite you, but it is a sold out event already. Yes.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So at this time, we'll proceed to our agenda as outlined. We'll go back to our ordinance in position. It's a bill number 2023-16 for a second reading. It's an ordinance adopting a redistricting plan for 3 single-member districts of the city of Florence, South Carolina, in accordance with the federal disannual census of 2020 decennial. And at this time,
So moved. Second.
oh, that's correct. We have a motion and second. Hearing any discussion? And we had that presented before. Do any council member need to have it represented? Hearing, okay, so we're ready for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the bill has passed second reading. Next, we have bill number 2023-30 for a second reading. It's an ordinance to annex and zone in C-15-2488 Abbey Way, identified as Florence County Tax Map Number 01221-01-247. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second it.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the bill has passed. Next, we are moving to introduction of ordinances. First, we have bill number 2023-32 for first reading. It is an ordinance to rename West Kansas Road and name an unnamed road identified as Florence County Tax Map Number 90093-01-001. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. At this time, we'll hear from Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is a request by the property owner of Freedom Square to rename one road and name another road. These are both private roads located within that development. The renaming will occur for Kansas Drive, and that will be a renaming to Ticonderoga Way. and then the unnamed road, which is to the north of this area, will be named Allegiance Avenue. There is one building that is addressed off of the Kansas Drive, which we will notify those changes should council move forward with this request.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
All right. Chair recognizes Councilman Bailey.
I see in the audience not only the property owner and the current member of county council, but former member of city council, William Schofield, here. And I just want to recognize Councilman Schofield and thank you for all that you're doing at that development, bringing some very exciting new projects and new businesses into our community and new jobs and new revenue, tax revenue into our community. Thank you for all you do, sir.
Chair recognizes Councilman Neesmith Jackson.
Yeah, I was going to ask again, where is this West Kansas Road?
It is a little road that is located just to the south of the shopping center. It runs behind. There's a bar and lounge located in this building, and it's not a. It's a very small private driveway road that runs along that property.
And this is off Irby Street? What street?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Off of Irby.
Okay. I just couldn't understand where was West Kansas Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair recognizes Councilman McCall.
Well, when I finally found out who the property owner was, I started to have some concerns. But just joking. But again, thank you, Schofield, for bringing this to us. I just want to commend you on your willingness to put back into the community and really invest on the south side of town and bringing that economic development to the area. So again, kudos to you and keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
If that completes the discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that the bill has passed. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mr. Moore. All right. Next, we'll move forward to reports to council. We'll start with our appointments to our boards.
You may skip 133. Church Street.
Ordinance.
Oh,
South
yeah.
Church.
Bill number 2023-33 for first reading, an ordinance to rezone 619 Church Street, identified as Florence County Tax Map number 90104-02-019 from AC to NC-63. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, we'll hear from Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is a request to rezone from AC to NC 6.3, a property located at 619 South Church Street. It is currently, again, zoned AC. It is an empty lot located along the Church Street corridor. The adjacent properties, there are multiple different zoning designations in the area. NC 6.3 campus, and then, of course, the AC near it. So this request has been made so that the individual can build a single-family structure on the property. Due to the size of this, while the NC 6.3 does permit multiple densities of residential use, it will be restricted to a single-family residential structure. So this is a smaller lot, and it, based upon the restrictions and the development standards of that code, it will be restricted to that. Okay. There is one item. Currently there is an existing home that encroaches onto his property. It's encroaching by about two feet, give or take, depending on where you are along the property line. This does not affect the zoning designation. This may come up for him later on during construction loan and that type of thing, but it does not affect the zoning.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilman Bailey.
Just want to, as an observation, it's very rewarding and exciting to see single-family development homes, new homes coming on Church Street. That area has been significantly depressed for many, many years, decades, and so to see that coming and to see an investment in that side of town, and I just think it's something that speaks well of the work that city staff is doing, and just keep up the good work.
Yeah, recently, I guess within the last year to a year and a half, we've had a couple of annexations and rezoning for single-family residential. So it's it's good to see some reinvestment.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other council members, any other comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Please let it reflect that the bill has passed first reading. Next, we'll move forward with our reports to council. First, we'll call forth Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. We have 5 boards of commissions that have either a vacancy or an expired term. The first board we'll start with is the Planning Commission. This appointment goes to Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson. We have several applicants in your packet, and they must be a representative or resident of the city of Florence.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson.
At this time, I will appoint Shalonda Dees to the Planning Commission.
Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to appoint Ms. Shalonda Dees to the Planning Commission. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that Ms. Dees has been appointed to the Planning Commission.
Our next board is the Board of Zoning and Appeals. This falls to Councilman Braddock. Seeking reappointment is Ruben Chico and Miriam James Singley. There are no other applicants.
I'd like to reappoint Miriam James.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, you've heard the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it reflect that Ms. James has been appointed to the Zoning and Appeal Board.
Our next board is the Design Review Board. This falls to Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson. The applicant must be a general contractor. Seeking reappointment is Cal Gunter. He's a commercial general contractor. There are no other qualified applicants.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Neesmith Jackson.
Defer at this time.
Our next board is the Parks and Beautification Commission. There's one expired term. This falls to Councilman McCall. Seeking reappointment is Simon Lee. New applicants include Christopher Filial, Paula Lentz, and Hughes Page.
Chair recognizes Councilman McCall.
All right. I would like to nominate Mr. Simon Lee for reappointment.
Mr. Simon Lee has been nominated for reappointment.
Second.
There's been a motion and second in discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let it reflect that Mr. Simon Lee has been reappointed.
That concludes all the appointments.
Thank you so much.
Excuse me.
Chair recognizes Councilman.
On the sheet that we got, I thought I saw Public Safety Citizens Review Board at the bottom.
You're correct.
Okay, I'm sorry. I saw that there. I'm just curious about that.
Correct. There is one vacancy on the Public Safety Citizens Review Committee. The applicant must be 21 years of age. That falls to Madam Mayor. There are no applicants at this time.
And because of lack of application, it's deferred. So we.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. So at this time, we will move forward with our reports to council. And as far as I do want to acknowledge a couple of things. We've had some good things that happened. We have Ms. Starley, who is actually with the Florence School District 1. She's celebrating 50 years as being a part of the school district. So I did prepare a proclamation and send that to recognize her for her years of service in education. So we appreciate that, and I do believe that education is so important, and we are in a state now that we do need more teachers. So to have someone who served and from teaching to leadership, being a principal, to have 50 years, that's an honor to have her here in the city of Florence. And also I would like to acknowledge that on behalf of our Florence Center, that we were able to secure the South Carolina Basketball League semifinals and finals to be here in Florence. That would be a 7-day event. And the great thing about that, we were able to have it now. It would be housed under one event center. And that particular event will actually bring in around about $5 million. So it's projecting $4,995 million is projected from that. But I would like to say that's due to the work of the staff, that we have a great staff at our city center, and we just brought aboard Mr. Rex Berman. He's going to be the new director for the center. So those are some of the great things that's happening here in Florence. We have a lot of more things that will be happening economically with companies that's looking at the whole of the county to come here as well. And as you can see with downtown, things are progressing there. The Florence Downtown Development Corporation, which meets monthly, we have a meeting, and there are several projects with buildings downtown that will be moving forward. One of the things that we're incurring right now, there's so many people who desire to come downtown, but there's not the building available for them. We do have some buildings that are for rentals, but because of cost, some people have not elected to be a part of that yet. But also with community development, the community is still growing. We have development still on our catalytic areas. I do want to recognize especially some of the builders that we have that are working so faithfully on the third phase, which is the Pine Street area. And so historical Pine, that's coming along well. And the great thing about that, several of the houses that have been built over there have been sold before they've actually come out of the ground. And for the future, one of the things that you will see that there will be actually a new church that will be being built on Pine Street. So I just want to say that as a city as a whole, we are moving forward. Yes, we do have some issues that we always have to address, but I believe that this whole of this council is committed to doing what they can do to move forward in a positive way. So this stay attuned to your city. There are some great things on the horizon. I would encourage, as I always do, for everyone, please go to thecityoflorence.com to see what positions are available on our boards. And we heard one for sure for our public safety board. We need some applicants. But also in this time, too, the City of Florence is hiring. So if you're interested in having a position here at the City of Florence, please apply for these positions so that we can hire and have the staff aboard to provide for the services. And to the City Council, thank you for all that each one of you are doing to do things, to move things forward. We have a lot of individual things that we have to focus on. This is a large city, but I believe that if we work together, we can continue to do what's best for our citizens. That concludes my report. And once again, thank you to everyone. Thank you to all of our city staff and all our various leaders for what they do to make sure our city operates 24/7. Thank you. So at this time, we will move forward with our committee reports, and our first committee report will be coming from the chair of the Business and Development Committee. Recognize the chair.
Thank you. On August the 17th, we met here in the Magnolia Room. It was myself, Councilman Braddock, and Councilwoman Barnes, as well as Mr. Osterman, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Hemingway. We had a conversation regarding where we were with the development of the roads through the third penny funds that had been received. As y'all will recall, the city got $40 million out of the third penny tax money, and that money is being applied to refurbish many roads that are inside the city limits, and that process is ongoing, and we got an update on where we stood with regard to that and the timetables that were coming forward. So excited to see the progress being made, but of course for the residents who are waiting for their roads to be done, it can't happen soon enough. We also got an update on stormwater and where we were on that, and it's my understanding that we'll get an update in October and maybe have a report to council in November on where we are with that. Thank you. We also discussed where we were with staffing, and I'm sure that each one of you in the departments who are waiting to hire additional people, those hires can't come fast enough, but we did get some good news that the hiring is coming along well, and there's a lot of good promotional. Amanda, thank you for all that you do to kind of get the word out on the hiring events that are taking place. With regard to the corridors, there's going to be a report that we'll be getting, a breakdown on the corridors that'll be coming up. So each one of the corridors that we'll be looking at comprehensively. But with regard to that, just want to give a report that Councilman Smith and myself met on last week on September the 7th. We went to the Parks and Recreation Department and we gave an update there on the Levy Park grant application with regard to the East Palmetto Corridor. And there's no news to report on that. It's still pending. But we just gave all of the Parks and Rec a detailed update, gave them a copy of the grant application, received questions, and it was a very robust conversation and very good conversation that we had with them at that time. And one other thing is the issue had come up previously in the last council meeting about the status of the water and where we were with the water system and the discolored water. And so that's been the infrastructure, something that we've been looking at. And Mr. Oshman, if you could give us a brief update. I know you have a water quality task force that has been assembled and has been looking at this and has been busy working to improve the water quality. So if you would give us an update, please.
Brief is in my vocabulary. As y'all are aware, a few weeks ago we put together a water quality team. This was made up of not just supervisors, but people who are hands-on in the water production and distribution system, as well as several outside engineers to assist us in determining issues and solutions. This team met last week, and some of the progress that has been made is we've just completed a comprehensive study of all of our groundwater facilities. We're actually in the process of reviewing that. For our troubled areas, those areas that seem to have consistent water issues, our engineering group has established some, see if I get this right, unidirectional flows. Okay, so, so basically it's a system of closing valves, flowing water, opening valves, closing others, which then scours the pipes. This is specifically in two areas that right now that we are working this through. And we have made, through the recommendation of engineer and our water production team, we have made changes to some of the treatment processes at the groundwater, at some of the groundwater plants, and that's all in conjunction with, I'm learning stuff as we go, it's all in conjunction with how water ages when it's in the pipe. So this team is working. It's going to be a long-term process, hopefully that we see results relatively quickly, although it's something that will have to continue for quite some time to get it exactly where we need it to be. So that's the team.
My understanding from what I hear you saying is that progress is being made, improvements are being made, but we're not quite there yet.
We're not quite there yet, and it'll be a little while before we are right there.
All right.
But we continue to encourage, and please encourage anybody that you talk to, if they experience discolored water, to please call our utilities.
Thank you, Mr. Austin. Unless other members have anything to add, no. That's our report. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Chair recognizes the chair of the Community Development Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have much to report today, but I did want to address Ms. Jones. While we hear you, I just wanted to say to you that we hear you. And there are a lot of problems that we have because of shortage in employees and also just growth. But we are definitely hearing you and we'll work to see if we can remedy some of these things. But the community committee is Councilman Shaquez McCall and Councilwoman LaShondra Neesmith, and hopefully we will meet next month. That's it.
Thank you for your report. At this time, we'll have a report from the chair of the Marketing and Public Relationship Committee.
Okay, Marketing and Public Relations Committee, let me just first off saying that my support staff is the best. They work hard. Amanda Pope and Hannah Davis They truly do understand the assignment. My goal, of course, since day one was to bridge the gap of communication, trust, and transparency between the city of Florence and its residents. And I must say we are on track for that. Our communication survey, we just ended, of course, July 28th, and that was to build communication between the city of Florence and our residents. And I'm happy to say that we will start doing these surveys on a regular basis, because we've only received 579 responses. But that did give us some feedback, and not only was this communication survey designed to help us find out how you want to communicate as residents, but also how we can improve our services as well with our residents. So Amanda has already been receiving feedback and already been working on it. One of the things our residents said is they want to see the agenda prior to the meeting. So Amanda has posted the agenda online for everyone to see, and she has already started implementing some of these. So I do have some information from the communication survey. Again, 579 people took the survey, and the top categories that they want to hear from the city of Florence is our community events. They want to hear water, sewer, and utility information, public safety advisories, economic development, and also city council and administrative meeting and decisions. So again, we already start implementing those things. 68, almost 69% said they wanted us to implement a web chat service on our city website, and 77% of them want a push notification service. Well, we heard you, and we have finished our process. So communication survey is done. We're going to hit that, and that was our communication. Congratulations to CityBot. They have won the proposal for our web chat, and their CityBot's mission is to build trust between government and the residents through accessible chat. So they're going to offer the push notifications when we need flood and water ball advisories, and like December, the freeze warnings. So I'm excited about that, and of course we're hope to be up and running with this app, and I keep saying app, but it's really not, but we should be up and running within the next couple of months. So that's definitely on our trust. And of course, we have started our campaign awareness, which is promoting education and transparency with the city of Florence and our communities. Our first one, of course, was on road maintenance and funding, understanding who owns the road and who funds them. So that was a very good educational awareness, and we will continue to do these educational awareness and keep reposting them so everyone can see it. So that was our transparency, and I'm happy to say that we are on track, and we will continuously work to build and bridge these gaps within our community. And that concludes our Public Marketing and Public Relations Committee meeting.
Thank you, Councilwoman, for that report. Next, we will proceed to a report from the Chair of the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We did briefly met on September 6, 2023, which was our originally scheduled meeting. Was during the hurricane, so we did move it. And me and Councilman Smith were present. Councilman Braddock was unable to attend, so we kept it brief in our discussions because we only had 2 members of the committee, not 3. But however, we did discuss the Roundup program, and we were finishing up some of the details for a proposal to be brought back to council in October. And so, yeah, that'll be in October. And the main things we talked about was whether or not it would be an opt-out program and who would be the third party administration agency that will administer the funds. And then when will it start? I think we were talking about maybe giving a 6 months, I guess, marketing campaign on it to make people aware of it, and then for it to take place starting in April of 2024. But again, that proposal in itself will be brought to council in the October meeting. We next talked about a brief overview of the ARPA funds that was proposed by the city manager. We looked at again his proposal, and we didn't bring any recommendations or anything because again it was only two of us, and we wanted to have a more thorough discussion on it. So that's why I think we did have members of council presenting at least half of it, and then I guess the other half we can still kind of get together and make a recommendation on that one. And then lastly, we got the monthly financial packet from Kevin, from our finance director, Mr. Kevin Rollison, which is always in depth and very good. And then that was it, and that will conclude my report from our September 6th finance meeting.
Thank you, Madam Mr. Chair, for that report. At that time, this completes the main body of the agenda. Next on our agenda will be executive session. And the item for executive sessions would be discussion of a matter related to a contractual matter, 30-4-70A2. Then B, a personnel matter, which is 30-4-70A1. I will entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Let it be known we're now going into executive session. Council, you may take a 5-minute break. We have just returned from executive session, at which time no votes or action were taken. And at this time, I do want to acknowledge that we are at a place that we have been honored enough to have our city manager with us serving. But in matter to our first one item was a discussion of a matter related to a contractor matter 30-4-70-A2, and there's no vote to be taken on that item. Next, we have a personnel matter, and on that personnel matter, I want to acknowledge that our city manager, which is Mr. Randy Osterman, who prior to being city manager served as our fire chief. He will be retiring the first part of next year. So we want to thank him, first of all, for his service, and so he will be looking at retiring in February. But with that, with his retirement, we as a council must now look forward to our future leadership for our day-to-day management of our city, for a new city manager. So at this time, I will entertain a motion from the council. How will we proceed?
Madam Mayor, at this time, I'd like to echo my appreciation to Mr. Osterman for his dutiful service, not only as city manager, but also previously as fire chief. Thank you so much for your dedicated service, and we know you'll enjoy your time down in Beaufort. But I move that we initiate a search internally for an interim city manager, and that we ask and direct our city attorney to develop a process between now and the October meeting to inform us as to the process for applications internally, as well as a timeline and a job description and any other accoutrements that need to be associated with that, working with our HR department. And then once that's approved in October, I'm assuming there'll be application period as well as interview time, and then a hiring will take place. So that's the motion.
Second.
It's a proper motion and second that we proceed with doing a search internally for our new city manager. Will be under the leadership of our city attorney to head up all processes associated with that search. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, like sign. Hearing none, the directive is now given to our city manager, actually to our city attorney, to proceed with the process. Is that completes our agenda? If there's no other.
I believe the earlier resolution that's pending that dealt with the opioid question.
We addressed that, and we did not need a vote on that. The directive of to proceed with the staff to do that. We discussed that.
Yeah, I believe we're going to need to move to defer that to next meeting. Yes. So I'll make a motion to defer.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We'll be deferring to next month. That completes our agenda. What is our motion?
So move.
Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing that all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That completes our meeting.